Story 6 of In Exile and Other Stories by Mary Hallock Foote. This recording is in the public domain. Story 6, The Watchman, Part 2. The first dry moon was just past the full. At 9 o'clock the sky began to whiten above the long bare ridge of the side hill cut. At half past, the edge of the moon's disk clove the sky line, and the shadow of the ridge crept down among the willows and tule beds of the bottom. At 10 the shadows had shrunk. It lay black on the ditch bank, but the whispering tree tops below were turning in silver light that flickered along the cow path and caught the still eye of a dark, shallow pool among the tules. Nancy had chosen this night for a stroll to the bridge, where Travis might be expected to pass any time between 8 o'clock and moonrise. Instead of Travis came a man whom she recognized as one of the watchmen from a lower division. He saluted her, after the custom of the country, claiming nothing on personal grounds but the privilege to look rather hard at the girlish figure silhouetted against the water. It was yet early enough for sky gleams to linger on still pools, or to color the wimpling reaches of the ditch. Nancy was disappointed. She had not come out to see a strange rider passing on Travis's gray horse. Her little plans were disconcerted. She had waited for what she considered a dignified interval, before seeming to take cognizance of her watchman's hours. Now it appeared that the part of dignity might be overdone. Had Travis been superseded on his beat? She was conscious of missing him already. Her walk home, through the confidential willows, struck a chill of loneliness which the aspect of the house did not dispel. All was as dark and empty as she had left it. Was her father still at work at those tedious dams? This had been his given reason for frequent absences of late, after his usual working hours; though why he should choose the dark nights for mending his dams, Nancy had not asked herself. Tonight she wanted him, or somebody, to drive away this queer new ache that made the moonlight too large and still for one little girl to wander in alone. She searched for him. He was in none of the expected places. The dank fields were as empty as the house. She turned back to the ditch. From its high bank she could see farther into the shadowy places of the bottom. Travis, meanwhile, had been leisurely pursuing his evening beat. He had overtaken one of his fellow watchmen on foot, walking to town, had lent him his horse for the last 2 miles to camp, and invited him to help himself to what he could find for supper, without waiting for his host. "It is a still night," said Travis. "I'll mog along slowly up the ditch, and put a little extra listening. It's at night the water talks." Long after the rider had passed on, the tread of his horse's hoofs was heard, diminishing on the hard-tamped bank. A loosened stone rattled down and splashed into the water. The wind rustled in the tule beds. Then all surface sounds ceased, and the only talker was the ditch, chuckling and dawdling like an idle child on its errand, which it could not be persuaded to take seriously, to the desert lands. Travis came to the ticklish spot near the bridge, and stopped to listen. Here the ditch cut through beds of clean sand, where the water might sink and work back into the old ground, the sand holding it like a sponge, till all the bottom became a bog, and the banks sank in one widespread general washout. The first symptoms of such deep-seated trouble would be the water's motion in the ditch, whirling round and round as if boring a hole in the bottom. Travis laid his ear to the current, for he could judge of the water's movement by the sound. All seemed right at the bridge, but far up the ditch he was aware of a new demonstration. He listened a while, and then walked on with long, light steps and gained upon the sound, which persisted, defining itself as a muffled churning at marked intervals, with now and then a wait between. The prodding was of some tool at work under water, at the ditch bank. He crossed to the upper side and moved forward cautiously along the ridge, crouching that his figure might not be seen against the sky. Nancy had gone up the cow trail, past the low grounds, and was just climbing the bank, when a dark shape, of man or beast, crashed down the opposite slope and shot like a slide of rock into the water. A half-choked cry followed the plunge, then ugly sounds of a scuffle under the ditch bank, men breathing hard, sighing and snorting, and somebody gasped as if he were being held down till his breath was gone. "Get in there, you old muskrat! You shall stop your own brakes if it takes your cursed carcass to do it. Now then, have you got your breath?" Nancy stayed only to hear a voice that was her father's, convulsed with terror and the chill of his repeated duckings, begging to be spared the anguish of drowning by night in 3 feet of ditch water. "Mr. Travis," she screamed, "you let my father be, whatever you are doing to him. Father, you come right home and get on dry clothes." Travis was as much amazed as if Diana with the moon on her forehead had appeared on the ditch bank to take old Solomon Lark under her maiden protection; but no less he stuck to his prize of war. "Your father hasn't time to change his clothes just yet, Miss Nancy. He's got some work to do first." "Who are you to be setting my father to work? Let go of him this minute. You are drowning him. You are choking him to death," sobbed the frantic girl. The shadow fortunately withheld the details of her father's condition, but she had seen enough. Had Travis been drinking? Was the man bereft of his senses? He was quite himself apparently, hideously cool yet roused, and his voice cut like steel. "You had better go home, Miss Nancy, and light a fire and warm a blanket for your father's bed. He'll be pretty cold before he gets through with this night's work." After this cruel speech he took no more notice of Nancy, but leaped upon the ditch bank and began hurling earth in great shovelfuls, patting the old man on the head with his cold tool whenever he tried to clamber up after him. "You'd better not try that!" he roared in a terrible voice that wounded Nancy like a blow. "Get in there now! Puddle, puddle, or I'll have you buried to the ears in 5 minutes." It was shocking, hideous, like a horrible dream. The earth rattled down all about Solomon, and frequently upon him. The water was thick with mud, and the wretched old man tramped and puddled for dear life, helping to mend the hole which he had secretly dug where no eye could discover, till the water had fingered it and enlarged the mischief to a break. It was the work of vermin, and as such Travis had treated his prisoner. Nancy felt the insult as keenly as she abhorred the cruelty. She fled, hysterical with wrath and despair at her own helplessness. But while she made ready the means of consolation at home, her thinking powers came back, and between what she suspected and what she remembered, she was not wholly in the dark as to the truth between her father and Travis. There was no one to warm Travis's blankets when he fell back upon camp about daybreak, reeking with cold perspiration, soaked with ditch water, and sore in every muscle from his frenzy of shoveling. He had had no supper the night before. His guest had eaten all the cooked food, burned all his light wood kindlings, and forgotten to cover the bread pail, and his bread was full of sand. He didn't think much of those tenderfeet who called themselves ditchmen, on the lower division where there was no work at all to speak of. He began, worse comfort, to consider his police work from a daughter's point of view. Alas for himself and Nancy! His idol of the ditch was shattered like the tender sky reflections that bloomed on its still waters and vanished when the waters were troubled. His own thoughts were as that roily pool where he had ducked the old man in the darkness. He overslept himself, after thinking he should not sleep at all, and started down his beat not until noon of the next day. Halfway to the bridge on the ditch bank he met Nancy Lark. She gave him a note, which he dismounted to take, she vouchsafing no greeting, not even a look, and standing apart while he read it, with the air of a martyr to duty. "Mr. Travis," the letter ran, "I am a death-struck man in consequence of your outrageous treatment of me last evening. I've took a dumb chill, and it has hit me in the vitals through standing in water up to my armpits. If you think your fool ditch is worth more than a human's life, though your company's enemy, that's for you to settle, as you can when the time comes you'll have to. I don't ask any favors, but if you got any decency left in you through working for that fish-livered company of bondholders coming out here to stomp us farmers into the dirt, you will call this business quits. I ain't in no shape to fight ditches no more. You have put me where I be, and the less said on both sides the better, it looks to me. If that's so, you can say so by word or writing. I should prefer writing, as I ain't got that confidence I might have. Yours truly, Solomon Lark." "Miss Nancy," said Travis gently, "is your father very sick this morning?" "I don't know," Nancy replied. "Have you sent for a doctor?" "He won't let me." "Have you read this letter?" She flashed an indignant look at him. "I wish you would, then." "It is not my letter. I don't know what's in it, and I don't care to know." "Do you know what your father was doing in the ditch last night?" "Helping you to mend it, at the risk of his life, because you made him," Nancy answered quickly. "Helping to mend a hole he made himself, so that there would be a nice little break in the morning." The subject rested there, till Travis, forced to take the defensive, asked, "Do you believe me?" "Believe what?" "What I have just told you about your father." "Oh," she said, "it makes no difference to me. I knew my father pretty well before I ever saw you. If you think he was doing that, why, I suppose you will have to think so. But even if he was, I don't call that any reason you should half drown him and make him work himself to death beside. But the water was warm, and I did the work. What was it to tread dirt for an hour or so on a summer's night? Wasn't he in the ditch when I found him?" "I don't know, I'm sure," said Nancy. "I know that you kept him there." "Well, I hope he'll keep out of the ditch after this. Working at ditches at night isn't good for his health. But you needn't be alarmed about him this time. I think he'll recover. But remember this: last night I was the company's watchman. I had an ugly piece of work to do, and I did it. But fair play or foul, whatever may happen between your father and me, remember it is only my work, and you are not in it." "Well, I guess I'm in it if my father is," said Nancy, "and that is something for you to remember." "Oh, hang the work and the ditch and all the ditches!" thought Travis. Yet it was the ditch that had put color and soul and meaning into his life, that had given him sight of Nancy. And it was not his work nor his convictions about it that stood between them now. It was her woman's contempt for justice and reason where her feelings were concerned. The case was simple as Nancy saw it. Too simple, for it left him out in the cold. He would have had it complicated by a little more feeling in his direction. "Well, have I got your answer?" she asked. "Father said I was to bring an answer, but not to let you come." "He need not be afraid," said Travis bitterly. "If he will leave my ditch banks alone, I will not meddle with him. Tell him if there are no more breaks there will be nothing to report. This break is mended, the break in the ditch, I mean." "Then you will not tell?" Nancy stole a look at him that was half a plea. "You would even promise to like me a little, wouldn't you, if you couldn't get the old man off any other way?" he mocked her sorrowfully. "Well, I'd rather have you hate me than stoop to coax me, as I've seen girls do." He might be satisfied, she passionately answered. She hated him enough. She hated his work and the hateful way he did it. "You are an unmerciful man," she accused him, with a sob in her voice. "You don't know the trouble my father has had, how many years he has worked with nothing but his hands, and now your company comes and claims the water and turns the river that belongs to everybody into their big ditch. I'd like to know how they came to own this river. And when they have got it all in their ditch, all the little ditches and ponds will go dry. We were here years before any of you ever thought of coming, or knew there was a country here at all. It's claim jumping, and not a cent will they pay, and laugh at us besides, and call us mossbacks. I don't blame my father one bit, if he did break the ditch. If you are here to watch, then watch. Watch me. Perhaps you think I've had a hand in your breaks." Travis turned pale. He had made the mistake of trying to reason with Nancy, and now he felt that he must go on, in justice to his case, though she was far away from all his arguments, wrapped in the grief, the wrath, the conviction of her plea. "You talk as women talk who only hear one side," he replied. "But you people down here don't know the company's intentions. They don't ask, and when they do, they don't believe what they are told. That talk against companies is an old politician's drive. This country is too big for single men to handle. Companies save years of waiting. This one will bring the railroads and the markets, and boom up the price of land. The ditch your father hates so will make him a rich man in 5 years, if he does nothing but sit still and let it come. As for water, why do you cry before you are hurt? Nobody can steal a river. That is more politicians' talk, to make out they are the settlers' friends. We are the settlers' friends, because we are the friends of the country's boom. It can't boom without us. Why should I believe in this company? I'm a poor man, a settler like your father. I've got land of my own, but I can see we farmers can't do everything for ourselves. It's cheaper to pay a company to help us. They are just peddlers of water, and we buy it. Who owns the other, then? Don't we own them just as much as they own us? Come, if you can't feel it so, leave hating us at least till we have done all these things you accuse us of. Wait till we take all the water and ruin your land. Most of these farmers along the river have got too much water. They are ruining their own land. So I tell your father, but he thinks he knows it all. He is some older than you are, anyhow. He is too old to be working nights in ditches. Tell him so from me, will you?" "Oh, I'll tell him. I don't think you will be troubled much with us around your ditch after this. I went to the bridge last night because I thought you were nice and a friend. I had a respect for you more than for any of the others. I might have come to think better of the ditch, but I've had all the ditch I want, and all the Watchman. Never, till I die, shall I forget how my father looked," she passionately returned to the charge. "An old man like him! Why didn't you put me in and make me tread dirt for you? The water was warm, and I'm enough better able than he was." "I'll get right down here and let you tread on me and be proud to have you, if it will cure the sight of what you saw me do last night. I was mad, don't you understand? I have to answer for all this foolishness of your father's, remember. It had to be stopped." "Was there no way to stop it but half drowning him and insulting him besides?" "Yes, There is another way. Inform the company, and have him shut up in the pen. I thought I let the old man off pretty easy. But if you prefer the other way, why, next time there's a break we can try it." "I'm sure we ought to thank you for your kindness," said Nancy. "And if we are 'companied out of house and home, and father made a criminal, we shall thank you still more. Good morning." Their eyes met, and hers fell. She turned away, and he remounted and rode on up the ditch, angry, as a man can be only with one he might have loved, down to those dregs of bitterness that lurk at the bottom of the soundest heart. Story 6, Part 2.